Okay, so what are your thoughts before we let you go, Doctor, on schools? Because this has been controversial for months, and we just seem to be in the clear, and now we're talking about schools going back to remote learning.
It is so important to have children socializing in school and live learning. Teachers should be vaccinated and get the booster. Kids should stay in school. They should not stop school. They should not do learning at home because, a lot of children living in socioeconomic areas that don't have active Wi-Fis are going to have a heck of a time linking or getting on the web to learn. And furthermore, children we know rarely get sick from even the Delta variant, but they can spread it. However, testing may be appropriate in schools and in colleges. That's the one area where testing may be valuable.
All right, Dr. Bob Lahita, it's always good to see you at St. Joseph's Health and author of Immunity Strong. Take care, sir.
Thank you, Joe.
That sets us up perfectly for our next two guests. As we said, schools across the country are closing in some areas or preparing for a return to online learning. Some universities as well shuttering classrooms, all because of Omicron. So what do parents think of that? Let's ask a couple of them. Alina Adams is a parent and writer on the issue of parenting. She's also a best-selling author. And Maud Marin, mother and open schools advocate, lawyer as well. Thanks to both of you for your time. Alina, let's start with you. The president, and you just heard the doctor there say schools are safe. We were pretty much rolling along here. It felt like we had it figured out. Maybe a day or two break going into the holidays makes sense, but what's changed?
What's changed is that a lot more parents are frightened, but in that way it hasn't really changed because as early as August, parents were frightened about sending their children back to school. There are parents who have elderly grandparents at home, who have children under 5 at home, and even if their children are vaccinated, even if their teachers are vaccinated, they don't know for a fact that their child will not get ill. So the fact is there are parents who were afraid and now they're afraid again because of the different variants.
Maud, is that a reason to shut it down again?
Absolutely not. What we have learned over the last 2 years is that school is truly essential and that children belong in school. That's where they learn and that's where they thrive. And we really need a clear message in New York that when you're healthy, you go to school and school is a safe place to be. Sick children and sick teachers should certainly stay home, but that was true before COVID and it's going to be true going forward.
Alina, I'm not sure if you saw the op-ed in the New York Times, but the headline was basically, we learned our lesson last time, do not close schools. And you're hearing these arguments again. The risk of severe outcomes to kids is low. The risk to kids from being out of school is high. Is there a way to make this work for everyone?
Well, you said that perfectly, a way to make this work for everyone. I am a school choice advocate, and that means that parents should have choices. We're talking as if this is a binary issue. Parents who want to keep their children at home should be allowed to keep their children at home, and parents who want to send their children to school should be allowed to send their children to school. What we saw in the past almost 2 years is people wildly swinging from one side to the other. It was either 100% this or 100% that. Why is no one talking about a middle ground? There are teachers who want to stay home. Let them teach the children who are at home. There are teachers who believe it is important to be back in schools. Let them teach the children who are in school.
Is that a workable solution, Maud?
Unfortunately, it was not a workable solution last year. I like Alina. I agree with Alina in school choice, and there are going to be different solutions for different families. But we had a really significant problem in New York City, which is the largest school district in the nation, staffing that kind of proposal so that you could have some kids at home and some kids in school. And when you really are stuck with a choice of either remote school or in-person school, we need to have in-person school for New York City school children.
Alina, I struggle with this because our kids are grown. I'm not sure what I'd do if I had kids in school right now, but I am wondering, as I thought about it today, how is it different than what we're all dealing with right now? I mean, airports, there are millions of people traveling every day with masks on, bars are open, restaurants are open, people are getting back to life. And as we've seen and heard, kids don't seem to be that susceptible to this. I know it's a risk, but what's the difference with the way the rest of us are all living?
There's a difference between adults making choices for themselves and adults making choices for their children. And I think all of us who are parents know that we can have all sorts of wonderful principles and we can say all sorts of things. But when it comes to making choices for our children, suddenly the things that make sense for us aren't necessarily as logical.
Well, Maud, how do you change the testing? Is that going to work? Would that be enough? Quarantining, I know there's been a lot of talk of this test to stay program. where kids can stay if they've been exposed as long as they have a negative test. But as I understand that, you have to test on day 1, 3, 5, and 7. I can't imagine how crazy that would be.
We currently in New York right now have totally healthy children staying home because we don't have tests to stay. And so what we have is when we have an identified case of COVID in the school, we do the contact tracing. And if someone is a close contact, that child goes home and stays home for up to 10 days. They can test back in after 7 days. That is a staggering number of missed days of school for healthy children who should be in school. So test to stay would be an improvement, but ultimately we're going to have to learn to live with COVID, and we're especially for children who, you know, we should count our blessings, are the ones who are least impacted by COVID, and so they're most able to resume a normal life and be back in school.
Alina, do you think this settles or reconciles itself in the next school year after the holiday, or do you think this continues to be a controversial issue? I mean, mandates were controversial enough. There were people who were arguing over mask mandates in school. Does this settle itself in one way or another, do you think?
I don't think so, because look at Maud and I, as she said earlier, I agree with Lena, I agree with Maud. Remote learning was a complete disaster. It's something that needs to be worked on. So look at the two of us. We agree on most things, but we can argue about the nuances. So I hardly think that come 2022, parents who are much, much more apart in their opinions are suddenly going to go one way or the other and agree on what we should be doing next.
Well, it's a mess, and I certainly feel for all of the parents out there who have kids in these lower grades who are trying to deal with all of this. I appreciate author Alina Adams being with us and Open Schools advocate Maud Marin. Thank you both for your insight and your time tonight. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for watching. Click the red subscribe button below so you can get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.